My name is Shani Jones, and I am your resident certified sex coach. Thank you so much for tuning in to Do You Know the New Kinky You? In this iteration, we are reading from the book Mirror of Intimacy, where we're discussing the readings from our book, Mirror of Intimacy, Daily Reflections on Emotional and Erotic Intelligence, by Alexandra Katakis and Tom Bliss. I do a daily podcast on Anchor. You can probably find it on Spotify, and I know that there are other channels, so hopefully the podcast station that you listen to or podcast platform is the one you'll be able to find me on. But if not, you can always find me on Anchor, and you can find me on Spotify. What I do with the daily podcast is read from a book, Mirror of Intimacy, which provides daily topics where the authors have given us a quote and a passage, as well as some daily healthy sexual tips, which I don't get into. But the quote and the passage, I read to you, I give you some time to ponder and reflect, and then I give you my reflections and feedback to the statements provided by the author. In general, I try not to agree or disagree with the authors directly. What I do is I find the spirit of what it is that they've written and translate that to how I incorporate it and then how I reflect that out into the world based on my personal experiences as well as my professional experience as a certified sex coach and soon to be certified sex educator. So what I'd like to do is to walk you through this past week, because this is what these videos are about: a summary, a recap of the previous week's reflections, which if you would like the detailed versions, please go to the podcast to listen. These are just teasers to get you excited. On February 1st, we talked about awaken. What does that mean? Awaken is when we stir something within ourselves. But what does that mean? To be in a long-term committed relationship, things change. Things may not be as perhaps hot and heavy or as spontaneous as they were when you first got together. And you don't have to choose to just abandon that. If things simmer or quiet down a little bit or become a little bit more regular and routine, it's okay. At times these happen. It can be expected, but you don't have to stay in that state if you don't want to. There's no reason that has to be the case. If things change, it's your obligation to work together to do something about it. And you have to be willing to speak your truth. So if things are changing, you're no longer comfortable with it, if you keep that to yourself, how is your partner supposed to know? You're supposed to work together as a team to be partners. So when you want an effective change in your relationship, open your mouth and use your big girl and big boy words and let the person know how you're feeling so that you can work together to move past and reawaken things that are in your life now to make them comparable or even better than they were when you first met. On the second, we talked about humility. Humility is one of those things that people kind of take for granted. To be humble is to acknowledge that we might not be the shiniest star in the sky, that we can take a step back and not necessarily be the person who needs to have all of the attention or to even have the wrong attention. And what that means is, adjusting yourself for the situation that you're in, but not relying on a false personality to get you through various situations. We cultivate our personalities based on our experiences. We tend to go with what works. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to understand it, especially as we're going into new situations, whether it be a relationship or a job or a friendship, a networking opportunity. You have to assess the situation for what it is now versus assuming that everything that you brought with you, you can just plug right in and it's going to work. You have to humble yourself to the situation, to the environment, try to understand the culture, and then learn to respect those that are around you that may know more than you do in a particular situation. This is where we're saying bow down to the presence of greatness. I know that I am very good at a lot of the things that I do, but I also know when to take a step back and get help from somebody that knows better than I do. I wish, no, I don't. I don't wish that I was an expert at everything. I wish that I had access to anybody at any given time that can help me find the answers that I need. And I wish that I am always able to humble myself to ask for that help when I need it. Projection. What does this mean? We have a tendency to see what we want. When we first meet people and they're potentially showing us our representative, we get very closed-minded to those traits and qualities that could potentially be dangerous or unflattering or yucky to us in the long run. And so when we are infatuated and enamored, we tend to look past those things. But when we do that, we're projecting what we want onto another person. We're trying to create and mold, out of this person, the thing that we think is going to make us happy. But we're not really doing it for them, we're doing it for us. So we're projecting ourselves and our wants and desires onto somebody else because we want to see what's there. We want to see what will make us happy versus what that person may really be putting out there. And we have to understand motivations because people don't necessarily have our best interest at heart. They sometimes don't. A lot of times they do. But we have to keep our eyes open. We have to keep our senses about us and understand where people are coming from. So before we assume that somebody has it out to get us or doesn't have our best interest at heart, understand people's motivations. It could be an issue of miscommunication, but you never know until you talk to them. Also, don't put your bullshit on others. And what that means is whatever issues that I'm holding and I'm carrying around, those are mine. This other person didn't want them. They're not, trying to accept them. And so why should I burden them with my bullshit? So if I have an issue or concern or a problem, that's me. Don't put it on to other people. And me, I'm the representative of me, that is you. Don't put your bullshit onto other people. Let's see, on the 4th, we talked about core beliefs. Now, with core beliefs, this is really on you to understand what is true to you inside, because what's true to you on the inside is what's going to reflect on your outside. If you are living in fear and doubt and shame, then that is what you're going to see reflected in your life. If you are living in light and love and positivity and you have faith about you and you are working towards attracting things that will benefit you and your family and your goals and your business in the long run, that's what really matters. Take those negative thoughts out of your head And when you try to cultivate a better environment for yourself, when you try to manifest, and I know we're going to talk about this in attraction, but when you try to manifest conditions that are based on negative thoughts, that is what you're going to get. When you cultivate conditions based on positive thoughts, that's what you're going to get. So it's not difficult. It's just changing. I say it's not difficult. It can be difficult, but with the right motivations, you can change the way that your mind works, and do it often enough and you'll see the changes very quickly. This little one about hurt feelings, I'm going to save it. It's about my daughter, and it's a lesson that can be reflected even as an adult. So if you're interested, please go and listen to the podcast. Faith and attraction I'm going to talk about in parallel because they fed into each other backward and forward. On the 5th, we talked about faith, and on the 6th, we talked about attraction. And so for me, with faith, there is, it takes quality of faith to trust people. And even before you have trust, you can have benefit of the doubt. And what that means is you are trusting within yourself even before you can trust in another person. So it's really about having faith within yourself that what you are putting out into the world, what you are trying to attract, is what is coming to you, and it's coming to you from a positive place because that is where your mind and your heart are. So if you see anything different from that, you really have to question yourself and to understand what are you putting your faith into, or even if you have faith, do you know what it is and do you know what it means to you? And so that law of attraction, you have to understand, again, the state of attraction that you're in. If things tend not to go well in your life, don't blame the world around you. Blame yourself because you are the catalyst for it all. Think about the people in this world who have really made a difference. They brought people towards them. They brought situations toward them. They brought resources toward them because they believed, they had faith. They desired it, so they attracted it. It doesn't care. The universe doesn't care whether it's positive or negative. It listens to your subconscious mind. It picks up on the signals that you put out there based off of what it is that you say you want. And to say, well, I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to be jobless. The universe doesn't hear that. They hear your worry and your fear. The universe hears your worry and your fear about being jobless or homeless. Think thoughts of prosperity and I'm going to have a mansion, or I'm going to have, the ideal home that you dreamed of since you were a young adult. You are manifesting the career that you want. Even I started completely over again. And I'm not scared. I am hopeful and I'm faithful that everything that I put into this, everything that I'm still putting into this, that one, it's benefiting you. That's why I do it. I want to help the world be a better place in the way I feel I've been suited to help. I don't know. I try to walk the walk and talk the talk and all that other good jazz. And I wouldn't sit here and tell you this if I didn't believe it. So if you want more detail about the podcast, please go back and look. This is just the February 1st, week 1 summary. We have all of January, and we have the rest of the year. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And you might also be reading, because I'm going to do my best to transcribe this video, so that in the event that you are at work or on the subway and don't want to share my lovely voice with everyone, you can keep it to yourself and still hear it or read what it is that I have to say. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you again next week. And don't forget, you can follow me on social media. It's all on the first slide. So I didn't say it because it's there. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you again soon.